Pok Pok was inspired by many things, but first and foremost was my co-founder Esther's two kids. So she had just given birth to her second son, and she had a newborn and was looking for something that she could give her 2-year-old on the App Store, something that would entertain him but also be really educational and not overstimulating. And she was looking around and really not finding anything out there that she felt good about sharing with him. And that really sparked this idea of, like, what about all those amazing educational, beautiful toys we grew up with as kids? Why aren't those in a digital space yet? And so we started talking, and that really snowballed into a wider conversation about how all of our kids are going to grow up to have these jobs that haven't been invented yet, and how can we prepare kids for a world where technology rules the day and they need to think creatively and think outside of the box. And so we decided to start Pok Pok to really try to help raise this next generation of creative thinkers. It was really important to us from the beginning that if we're going to make something for young kids, which Pok Pok Playroom, our app, is for, it had to feel really gentle and mindfully created, because we don't want to overstimulate kids. We don't want them to be addicted to Pok Pok, and we want them to feel just at home in our digital playroom as they do on their playroom floor at home. So we decided everything has to be handmade. So we hand draw all of the animations frame by frame, just like they did in the 1940s. Nobody does it anymore. It's really expensive and slow, but it makes for a really beautiful kind of storybook come to life feel. And our sounds are also hand recorded here in Toronto by our amazing sound designer, Matt. And that just really helps to make sure that they're at the right volume and they're gentle and they sound really magical. I mean, there's no other better way to say it, but it was always important for us to have that really high level of fidelity when it comes to design. So we designed Pok Pok Playroom to be a digital playroom just filled with open-ended toys. So there's no right or wrong, no winning or losing, no menus, no language, no text, no ads. It's just toys, just like you have on the floor of your house. And storytelling comes into play by the child. I mean, because there's no right or wrong way to play with any of our toys, they can follow their noses and do whatever they'd like. It's a very self-guided experience. And so if they want to go into our little town toy and tell a story, they can. But if they want to just go find all of the red cars and park them in front of the red house, they can do that too. Because kids play so differently. And it's really important for us to honor the way that they want to play. I mean, it not only makes the experience really enriching for them in terms of cognitive development and really fostering and building on that imagination, but for parents too, it's a really reassuring thing to know your child is doing something that's beneficial to them, and that also is empowering, because frankly, most toddlers, don't get to make very many decisions in their day. So in Pok Pok they can, and they can't screw up, they can't fail. It's just like a really safe space. Being women, Esther and I, my partner, we feel really strongly that women should be represented beautifully and fairly in the app. So we have female construction workers and basically women in jobs that are typically held by men, to show our kids that anything is possible. And we do the same thing with other marginalized groups. We have a lot of folks with different abilities, different family constructs. We just did a big update for Pride as well in June, and all of these things are really important to us, because kids start forming their biases and assumptions about the world when they're toddlers. So we need to show them in our media what the world can look like and what the world frankly does look like. And so being women, I think that we definitely have a more sensitive edge to this kind of thing, because we've been marginalized ourselves so many times in our lives. And so we wanted to make sure that we're building a product that raises women up, but also is very inclusive to everybody else as well. And our team is very diverse. We also have men on the team, of course, and it's just about thinking clearly. We want to make sure that everything that we do has a purpose, and as women, we would be remiss if we didn't highlight how awesome women are. And so we want to make sure that we're doing whatever we can. Well, they have to like it. Kids don't lie at this age. If you hand a 3-year-old an iPad and it's not fun, they'll just give it back to you and go do something else. So it has to look exciting and interesting to them. So the aesthetic is really important to us. But we also wanted to make something that met kids at their level. It wasn't covered in sparkles and bright colors and was very overstimulating. We didn't want to use candy to lure them in. Essentially, we wanted to make something like holistically beautiful that we thought they would enjoy. And so we're always kind of checking in with ourselves and asking, is this something that a child would like? And we don't just assume, because unfortunately we're adults. So we work with hundreds of families all over the world to make sure that we're getting this right. And like I said, kids don't lie. So when we screw up, they don't hesitate to tell us. And also I think for the parents, I mean, there's so much content out there these days, and it's really hard to know what to trust. And so building a really sort of minimal and premium feeling brand was really important to us from day one, not only because that's just our own personal aesthetic, but we wanted to show parents that, you know, we're trustworthy and we put a lot of thought into what we're creating, whether that's picking a font for a presentation that no one externally will ever see, or finalizing designs for a toy in the playroom. When we set out to create Pok Pok as a brand and then Pok Pok Playroom as a product, we thought a lot about this, but fundamentally speaking, most kids apps out there are just games for adults that have been skinned with children's IPs. And you know, that's really appealing to many people, but we wanted to find a way to use the technology in a really innovative way. So not only are we reinventing what play feels like and looks like and sounds like on a device, but we're also bridging like beautiful aesthetic with that. So just what I mean by that is, it's not just an existing game mechanic that's already, you know, been around, or technology that's already existed. We look at these devices that we have, we sit down with an iPad and think, okay, what's possible here? So an example of that is our drawing toy. It's very simple, but it's one of our most popular toys in the playroom because it really leaves everything up to the child. So if they draw a picture with a finger or 10 fingers at once, that's also always fun, and they want to erase it. I think most kids, the instinct would be to use an eraser if they're doing it in real life. But in Pok Pok, we're on a tablet, so there's something really beautiful about this introduction of technology. So how can we make erasing more fun and more interesting and more satisfying? And so our team spent quite a bit of time figuring this out, and we realized that a slider is actually just this like it feels so good to do it. And this is a teeny tiny example, of course, but I think bridging technology with design is really important when it comes to kids content, because they're going to be growing up to create and continue pushing this industry forward. We update the playroom every 4 to 6 weeks with brand new toys or updates to existing toys, so that's always going to keep going. What's next for us? We just closed $3 million seed round, and we're using a lot of that capital to help spread the word about Pok Pok, because we launched the app last May and didn't really tell anybody about it. So now we're really excited to start investing in building that community and spreading the word. And then continuing to build more products. Like, we see Pok Pok as starting Lego in a digital era. So we want to continue to make innovative digital toys for kids up to age 12. So stay tuned, there's a lot more coming.